So, graphene, what impacts will it have on the drone industry? I'm coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Drone Logic for your drone and tech-related info from my point of view. Well, as human beings, ever since we've been on this planet, we've been through several ages. We started out with the Stone Age, right? And eventually we got to the Bronze Age. And the Bronze Age gave way to the Iron Age, right? We saw the Industrial Age and the late 1900s or the late 1800s. We saw the Industrial Age start to take off. Then we moved to the Nuclear Age. From there, we went straight into the Information Age, where we are today. Well, many people believe that the graphene age is soon upon us. And graphene is basically made from graphite, the stuff that's in our pencils. And it's basically a single layer structure, a single layer atomic structure that's held together by very strong bonds. And the only reason why we're able to get that single layer structure because of those strong bonds. We've tried it before, but other materials just wasn't able to survive it. And because of those strong, extremely strong covalent bonds between the molecules, it's 200 times stronger than steel at like 1/6 the weight. And it basically is harder than diamonds. And it conducts electricity better than copper. You add all those together and you have one hell of a substance that's actually going to have impact all throughout society in just every area that you can think of, from anywhere from the energy sector, to building and construction material, environmentally, it has impact there, electronics, and just many, many more. But what impact will it have upon the drone industry? Well, again, like, where to start? Well, first of all, battery wise, now graphene is able to be implemented in current battery technology, the LiPo technology, and it said that graphene can increase graphene use can increase the capacity of something like 50%. So if you take a Mavic 2, which has a battery life of 31 minutes, well, if you increase that to fit by 50%, we're looking at 45 minutes flight time. Again, as a drone pilot, we love to get as much time we can. So 3 or 4 minutes it helps out a lot. So imagine 15 more minutes. Huge. And that's just using implementing graphene into existing technology. When we start using fully graphene batteries, and I've heard estimates of something like 10 times the capacity. So you're looking at, again, for the Mavic 2, I would say 30 minutes is the flight time. So now we're looking at 300 minutes. That's what, 5 hours and something. So imagine being able to fly a drone for 5 hours. For most people, like, one battery would be all that you ever need. Really. Also, one of the benefits of adding graphene to existing battery technology, or graphene in general, is that it significantly cuts down the charging time. Because right now for Mavic 2, if you have a battery that's like 1%, less than 1%, real low, it probably take you an hour to charge. Well, imagine being able to charge your battery in 12 minutes. That is huge. So that right there alone would be dramatic improvement in the drone industry. Now let's talk about the body and construction. Now, so we know that the X Dynamics, they evolved. They use basically composite, which made the body something like 3 times, 4 times as stronger. The problem is that did the benefit outweigh the cost? And I would have to say no, because even though it's stronger, the body of it is stronger than a Mavic 2 bodies, but the Mavic 2 is plenty strong. We don't hear any issues of defects or anything. So it can be overkill. However, with graphene, when it gets to the point that it's easy to mass produce to the point of pennies, then using it as a body would be, honestly, it would be common sense. You know, if you use composite graphene and you have a substance that is exceedingly strong, so we have a body that basically will, I mean, to the point where defects will be almost a thing of the past unless you crash it into, I mean, literally crash it into the ground. We won't have any issues with defects in the bodies. And again, that's just building and construction material across the board. I hear when people talk about graphene, that quote unquote sky elevator, something like that, to space and stuff like that. We just needed the material to be able to do that, strong enough and light enough to be able to do it. Now, the next area in which graphene is really truly going to impact the drone industry and really the electronic sector is in processors. As I said, graphene conducts electricity better than copper. So it basically is estimated that graphene is going to replace silicon as the material for producing electrical components. And we have the ability to make components several times as smaller because of the nature of the, you know, when you're dealing with a silicone, you make stuff too small and you get that, you know, the what they call electric tunneling, in which electricity starts to leak out and you start having shorts. Well, this is not the case with graphene. So we can make processors smaller, hundreds of times faster. Again, that will be huge for the drone industry to have, to be able to put processors on on the drones that's small enough to handle anything that you're going to throw at it. Plus, I mean, when it gets to the time when we are doing, you know, 8K and possibly 16K and such at, you know, 60 frames per second, you're going to need a processor to be able to handle all that. And also, one thing about graphene is it basically it channels heat better, so you can easily channel heat away. And because it conducts electricity so efficiently, you don't have as much electricity lost to heat. So again, you can make things even smaller when you don't have to have, when heat is not the issue. And again, this is going to have impact all throughout electronics, and I believe it's already being done. And you know, Samsung is basically in a process of building graphene batteries and adding graphene to existing technology, but it's going to be huge impact. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is lenses. Now, graphene is transparent. So eventually, again, it's estimated that it is going to replace glass as the substance of choice, being that it is transparent. And you know, since it conducts electricity, it can be used as LCD screens. You know, when people talk about those wearable screens on your clothing and such, foldable screens, that's extremely durable. Well, we use graphene for lenses on our drones. Number one, we won't have to worry about scratches. You know, when you're dealing with a substance that's harder than diamond, you won't have to worry about scratches and such. But if it conducts electricity, then you can ideally darken or lighten the lens to however specification that you want. So basically, built-in ND filters, again, that would be huge. Imagine if you're out flying your drone and you wanted to get a certain shot. I mean, you don't have to bring it back and land it, turn it off, change the filter, put another, you know, a dark ND filter or a light ND filter that you may need, and put the drone up in the air. You just adjust it up there. Again, huge. So as you can see, graphene is going to have, again, it's going to have impact all throughout society. That's why people are starting to call it the graphene age, or people say that the graphene age is approaching. Now, what's the problem? Well, the mass production of graphene. Again, it was very difficult to produce. About 10 years ago, in like say in 1998, 2008, 2009, graphene was one of the most expensive substances out there because we couldn't produce it in mass. It was difficult to produce. Well, we've seen innovations come along. People have figured out ways to produce it more, and R&D is ongoing to try to figure out to produce graphene in mass. And when that happens, I would just say look out. But man, I honestly, all the things that I'm hearing about it, I just simply can't wait to see how this will be implemented, and not just for drones, but electronics in general and society in general. But man, the impact that graphene is going to have on the drone industry is going to be massive. And I'm pretty sure that DJI, who's always at the forefront, I guarantee you they're at the forefront right now of looking into graphene into batteries. But anyway, y'all, only time will tell. Now, this has been my drone logic for the day. Graphene will definitely change society. And as always, y'all, until next time.